At last, I have finally finished building the Gundam Freedom 2.0. What do you guys think? So this build has taken me around 3 weeks, and because of the color separation that you could see is already pretty good, so I've decided not to airbrush this Gundam kit. And in fact, I have decided to keep its original colors, and I have only given almost every single part a good polish, mainly to get rid of the cut marks or the nubs, and also to make certain parts less shiny, and some of the parts I deliberately made them more shiny as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed my build of the Freedom Gundam 2.0, and I hope you enjoyed the post as well. Originally, I have used the beam rifle on the right hand, but then I decided to tuck the beam rifle at the back and use the double beam saber instead. I think it looks better with this pose of the Freedom Gundam 2.0, especially with the rear wings opened like that. And also, as you can see at the top, where you have the, I believe it's beam cannons, the two white things at the top, you could bend them forward so it comes out pointing outwards, and use the cannon for the opponents, but I have decided to use it as part of the wings, and I think it looks pretty good. So in terms of panel liners, I have only done certain parts of it, mainly on the panel lines that are pretty shallow. The rest of the panel lines, they are fairly deep, like here, so I've decided not to add them. Otherwise the Gundam might look a bit too busy for my liking. And for decals, I haven't used any of the plastic stickers because I just don't like them. And all the markings that you can see on the rear wings as well as on the shield, the logo, some of the markings here as well as some of the markings on the shoulders as well as front skirts, those are dry transfer. I much prefer them. I think they look really neat, and it doesn't really show the thickness of the decal on the parts. They're pretty similar to water slide decals, but I think up to certain extent I actually prefer the dry transfer decals over the water slides. So with the dry transfer, you just need to be extra patient, and it is best to have some practice of using dry transfer, otherwise you might ruin the look, or you basically ruin the dry transfer decals, because this Gundam kit, I think all of the dry transfer decals, they only give you one, so if you messed up one, you pretty much ruined the overall look. So you only have one chance to get everything right. So make sure you take your time and lined up the decals and the markings properly, just to make it super neat and make the model look almost perfect. That would be ideal. So I have used every single dry transfer decals that comes with this model kit, and I even took the liberty of using the non-dry transfer sticker, but I cut it out to make it a dry transfer on the base as well, which I will show you in a few moments, because the base originally is just a few pieces of molded black plastic put together, and it looks rather boring, and I have used some of the remaining dry transfer to make it look slightly detailed. There are a few things that you might need to be aware of when building this Freedom Gundam 2.0. As I mentioned in my building process video previously, you really need to be extra careful with the hip joints, which is on runner J, and it is part 4. Those are prone to break. If you have seen other YouTube videos of other builders building the Gundam Freedom Gundam 2.0, quite a few of them have experienced breaking the hip joint as well. I obviously have seen the video, therefore I went on eBay and I managed to find those hip joints in diecast, so I don't have to worry about breaking the hip joints. So for those of you who had the Freedom Gundam 2.0 and you experienced the broken hip joints, I can strongly recommend you to buy the die-cast version. They are relatively cheap. I managed to find mine just over £5 on eBay. If you are based in Asia, you might be able to find those parts even cheaper. And if you're unfortunate enough to break the hip joint part J4, then feel free to contact me directly. I do have the 2 original plastic molded hip joints, both of them available, so if you want to get them off me, you are more than welcome to take them away. So in terms of the build, it is pretty straightforward. It just need to take, some patience and a lot of time in order to build the Gundam properly. And there are a few things I just want to point out again. So if you look at the instruction menu, where are they? This part right here, which is J56, make sure you have them the right way around when you're fitting it onto the chest area. Otherwise you might have limitation to the arm movement, like so. So make sure the flat side face in, and then the curved one is on the outside, and it is the same for the opposite side, which is like that part here, J56, on the other side. So next are these 2 parts. They are very, very small, and they are part number 21 from runner B. So when you have them slotted into the chest armor, make sure you push them all the way in to click it, otherwise they will look a bit silly and bent. So be careful not to drop them as well, because they are pretty much one of the smallest parts on the Gundam kit, so if you drop them you might struggle to find them again. The rest of the chest area is pretty easy to follow, and on the head unit, be careful with part A26 and A27. They are relatively small as well, so make sure you do not drop them when you cut them out from the runner. And equally for part A28, that's relatively small as well, so be careful. Moving on to the arms, I don't think there's anything that you need to be aware of. Just follow the installation guide and take your time with it. And then onto the waist, which is chapter 7. So as I mentioned in my previous video about the hip joints, part J4, you have 2 of them, which are these 2 parts for left and right. They are prone to break, so if you can afford it, make sure you buy the die-cast version as well. . 。  . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . . . 。 . . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 。 . 。 。 . 。 。 . 。 。 . 。 。 . 。 。 . 。
」 . 。
So, if you can afford it, make sure you buy the die-cast version as well. the rest of them, it's pretty straightforward. Onto the legs part. So here you can see the assembly of the left and right foot. So the only thing that I would recommend you to do would be for this part here, G3, and same as the other side, when you cut them out, there are a few cut marks here. Oh, sorry. There will be a few cut marks at the back, so make sure you give it a good polish to get rid of the cut marks. And also for, which part would that be? So it will be G4, the front part of the shoe, which is here. You also find a couple of the cut marks at the bottom, so make sure you clean them up properly so that it doesn't show on the Gundam model as well. What else have we got on the legs? They're pretty much straightforward, to be honest. Some of this part, they are actually movable. Part C10. So once you click it in, you can lift them open and shut to show the thrusters. And it's the same on the other side of the leg as well. Here, this is what I mean by you can turn the top beam cannon to face the front. And if you want to, you can also strip out some of the body armor just to show the internal body frame as well, which are quite detailed. And here in the cockpit, you have the mechanism to slide open the front part, and you will see the pilot inside as well. And this kit comes with two of those pilots. One is in the sitting position and one is standing, which I will show you on mine in a minute. The rest of them is mainly the assembly of the weapons. They are pretty straightforward. There's nothing tricky there. And onto the rear wings, they are pretty straightforward as well. You just need to make sure you follow the instruction and do them one by one, otherwise you might end up putting the wings in the wrong way round. But the instruction is pretty clear, and it actually shows you which part you need to put together first before the next part. I think the rest of them are fairly straightforward. And then towards the back of the installation guide, these actually show you the assembly of the Gundam base, display base, and you need to use the part I-11 in order to support or lift the Freedom Gundam onto the stand. And here you can see the arm can actually be pulled down in order to gain better articulation, and same as the hip joints, it gives you better posting as well. And here they have recommended how to post the rear wings as well, but obviously you can post the wings however you like. And here you can see how to bend the beam cannon to the front. And then here is where to apply the dry transfer decals, as well as the standard plastic stickers, so I didn't use any of those. I just used those dry transfer decals, and the outcome would look pretty similar to this. So in terms of the panel liners, as I mentioned earlier, I only done part of it. I didn't do any panel liners on the rear wings because I think the cuts are pretty deep already and you can see it from afar. I have panel lines pretty much the entire shield from the outside to the inside. You can see all the details in there as well. And there are there's a lot of panel lines around the bicep and the forearms area, but those panel lines are relatively deep, so you don't really need to color them in, otherwise it might look a bit too busy like that. I haven't put any color on those, and same goes for the legs as well. Here you can see I've added one extra dry transfer sticker at the back. So let me stop the spinning top so I can bring the Gundam closer and you can see the details better. So first thing to show you is the display base. So originally this is just black, so I've cut out some of the description on the dry transfer decals, basically just the model number of the Gundam as well as the Bandai logo, which is separate, and I just stuck them on to make it look a bit better, and also you get the description of the Gundam as well. And then this is the second figure for the Freedom Gundam. So this is in standing position, and I have only used panel liners to bring out the details. The second one is actually inside the cockpit, which I will show you right now. He's in there. I'm not sure you can see his legs. Let me put on my LED. Here we go. You can see him. He's right in the middle. He's sitting down position. And I have used one open hand on the left and the closed hand for holding the beam sabers. I'm not going to show you guys the articulation of this Freedom Gundam because you will be able to find a lot of them on other YouTube video, and also it has taken me some time to strike this position, which I think in my opinion is the best position for the Freedom Gundam to show off the rear wings mainly, and also to show off the shield as well as the joined beam sabers as well. So here, some of the parts you can see I have really polished it to make it shiny, like the cockpit cover. There were some cut marks on the red parts, but I have really polished them out to make them smooth. And same as that red parts there is actually very shiny. I have polished it a lot in order to achieve the glossy finishing. And the dry transfer decals, they were numbered, but I couldn't find a number to follow exactly where to locate them, so I just used my imagination and I placed those decals there on the left and right shoulder, as well as those two. The shield has been polished as well. As you can see, it is fairly reflective, and certain parts are meant to be matte polish. I have used a lower grit polisher to achieve that. In here you can see the panel lines around the legs and the footing area. I didn't add any panel liners because they are quite easy to see already. I don't want to make them too obvious. But the details of the shield, you do need to color them in, especially the inside. So they are fairly easy to do. You just need to use the Tamiya panel liners, colored everything in, and then wait for about 10 to 15 minutes for the panel liners to dry, and then you use a model grade Q-tips and the lighter fluid to clean off any areas where you don't want to see the black color. And then the side skirt, where you see this gray area, that's actually a foldable beam cannon, so you can fold them out straight to point outwards, but I prefer to have them fold. And the beam sabers handle, I have used panel lined as well. And when you cut out the beams themselves, there are 2 cut marks, so you really need to polish them out so that they do not show on the Gundam. And let me show you the rear of the foot. So there were 1 or 2 cut marks, but I completely polished them out, and I also gave it a very good polish to make it more reflective. It's pretty cool, hey? I think most of the Gundam kit or Gundam finished product, whether it's the metal build or the metal spirit, they are all very good looking model. You just need to, look at some photos and some videos to learn how to pose them properly. And especially when you have a display stand like this, sometimes they come with the kit, sometimes you have to buy them separate. I can strongly recommend you to get them as well, because you can only pose so much with the Gundam standing on its feet. When you are using a display stand, you can strike a lot more pose. And also for Gundam that has the massive rear wings, you definitely need to use the display stand because otherwise the Gundam will struggle to stand upright. So this will be the position that I'm going to leave the Freedom Gundam 2.0 in my display cabinet. I might change the pose or the weapon from time to time, but in terms of the rear wings, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to change them. I like the way they look, and I definitely don't like having the top white beam cannon pointing outwards. I just like it to be part of the wings. So, hope you guys enjoyed this review video and the outcome of the Gundam Freedom 2.0. Don't forget to give me a like if you like this video or you like the product. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, then please consider subscribing and also click the notification bell. Your support is greatly appreciated. So until the next time, take care and enjoy your Gundam building and model cars collection. And I will see you guys on the next one. Take care, guys.